Hello friends, Heidi here from Rain Country. God is good all the time. And today I'm going to be making some vitamin gummies again, and I'm going to give you some options, but I'm also going to link to the original written recipe by Wellness Mama in the description box down below for those who want a written one. And so make sure you click on show more if you're on a computer right below the video, or on that little gray arrow off to the right and just below the video, as you can see in the picture right here, if you are on a smart device, so you can see that and any other links that I put below. So let me talk first about the things that you'll need. You're going to need a 9-inch pan. It can be round or square, and you're going to want to grease it up with a little bit of coconut oil. Butter will work too if you prefer, or you can use some cute little silicone molds if you happen to have them on hand. These ones here were sent to me by one of my subscribers, and they're just adorable. They have little dinosaurs and all kinds of Lego blocks and stuff like that. So I'm going to be using these today for fun, and this might be especially good for those who have children or grandchildren you want to share these with. But if you're going to do this, because the silicone molds are floppy and you're going to need to refrigerate or freeze this when you have it all made, I suggest you put it on a cookie sheet, or like I have here on one of my drying racks that I use when I'm drying herbs next to my wood stove. And then as far as the ingredients, if you want to just make gelatin, just gummies, all you need are two things: juice and gelatin. And I'll talk about that in a minute. Or a fruit puree instead of juice if you prefer. Now, as far as the vitamins go, you'll want to use a powdered vitamin. You can go like a magnesium citrate, or even what I have here is some ascorbic acid or vitamin C. And you will go up to 3 tablespoons of each. Both of these are going to make either anything that's in a citrate form is automatically going to make it even more tart. So keep that in mind. I have tried making a magnesium and calcium blend. They turned out okay, but it made the color really weird because of the reaction of the calcium and the magnesium together. But that is an option. It just made the color turn brown, which wasn't very. It still tasted fine, it just was weird. So anyway, you might want to taste it as you're going along to decide how tart you want it to be, but up to 3 tablespoons is what Katie says in her recipe. I think I usually would do this. I haven't made them in years, but I think I usually just do a tablespoon to 2 tablespoons. And then if you choose, you can use honey. So I'll be using honey because the juice I'm going to be using is from our own grapes, and we have very tart grapes that we grow here. But I'm also going to be adding some freeze-dried raspberries to this just to add more flavor. But because it's very tart, I'll be using a 1/2 cup of honey like I have here. So if you're using a very tart juice or some kind of fruit puree that's very tart, then I recommend going up to a 1/2 cup of honey. But if your juice is already really sweet, like maybe you're using a pure mango juice, then there's no need to add honey to it at all. In fact, here's a picture of some mango vitamin C gummies I made years ago, and boy, those were really good. And so those ones were made just using the square pan and then cutting them up once they were set. So let's go ahead and get on with this recipe. It's very simple, and anyone can do this. I would recommend getting your grandchildren or children involved in this process because it is very simple, and I think it would be a fun project for them to do. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to measure out 2 cups and put that in my blender so I can go ahead and process it up with the raspberries. And then the rest of this juice I'll go ahead and stick in the freezer. I'm not going to put a band on it yet. I'll let it freeze first, and then I'll put a band back on it, and then I can just thaw it out when I'm ready to make some more gummies. And then of my freeze-dried fruit, I'm going to add in about a 1/2 cup of the raspberry. And if you're interested in the freeze-dried and dehydrated things that I like to purchase, I do a lot of drying of my own things, but I do also like to purchase things that I don't either get enough of or I just can't grow well. And so I will link to that. I always have the Mother Earth products linked down below. And if you go through that link, especially if you're new, you can get 10% off your order. So now I'm just going to process all this together. Okay, and then I'm going to take 1 cup of this and I'm going to add it. Oh, it's nice and thick now. Add it into the honey mixture. Okay, and then the other cup I need it to go into this one because I need it bigger than the 1 cup container I have here. So I could have just poured it directly in there. Okay, and now this is what I'm going to put on the heat. You want to put it on your heat source and have it very low, because especially if you have raw honey in there. You just want to heat it so it mixes together well. So I'm going to set this over here on my hot plate. We're getting lots of sun, so at least I can run it off the solar power. And again, I'm setting that heat very low, just enough to get it warm so that honey and the fruit puree will blend together well. Now to this, I'm going to go ahead and add in, I think I'm going to go ahead and do some vitamin C in this. And so I'm just going to put a heaping tablespoon of the vitamin C, and I'll keep it at that because I'm afraid with the grape juice already being very tart, I don't want to make it any more tart than it is. And then we'll blend that in there. And then the next thing is your gelatin. So I like to use the Zint beef gelatin. It's one of the healthier ones there is. I'm not sure if it's still available on Subscribe and Save, but I stocked up on a lot getting it through Subscribe and Save so I could save a little money that way. But I will put a link to it down below. It's hormone-free, antibiotic-free, and of course it's kosher. So for those of you who do not eat pork, it's a good option. So you need 1/2 cup of that. And then you want to blend that in well with your fruit puree. Do it immediately. Start mixing it, whisking it in there. You don't want to let it set for too long without mixing. In fact, you don't want to let it set at all without mixing it in there. Otherwise, you'll have big lumps of the gelatin. Now, this is already starting to set up, and that's fine. We're just going to let that honey and fruit puree finish heating up a little bit, and then we're going to blend those together. So what I want to do now is, while this is still warm, I want to add in this gelatin mixture. Now, I've never tried doing it all together. To me, it seems like that would be easier to do. I'm sure there's a reason why Katie has you do it this way, so I've just always done it this way. But one of these days I may try it. So then you just want to get that blended in there. You may even need to return it to the heat for a little bit to get that to blend in so it's nice and smooth. And so since this is still very, you can see I can touch it, I'm going to go ahead and return it back to the heat and let it heat through so that gelatin mixture can blend in there real well. Okay, I have this all dissolved together really well. And so now I'm going to go ahead and pour it in my molds. This is probably going to be tricky because even this measuring cup, even with its spouts, the only thing I don't like about the 4-cup one, it has such a tiny spout. It doesn't always pour well. So I'm going to try to get these filled as neatly as possible. It is much easier just to put it in the square baking pan. But having the little molds, the cute little shapes, is fun too, especially if you got kids, grandkids. So I'm going to continue to fill these, and then I'm going to stick them into the refrigerator. Or actually, I'm going to stick them into the freezer for up to 30 minutes because that's what Katie says in her directions. So I'm going to try that. And when they're all set, I'll go ahead and press them out and show them to you. Okay, well, I'm back and I got some of them pressed out here. I actually got a little carried away. I was going to record me doing some more, but I did remember to leave a few so I could show you how I press them out. And then I also spread some out on a plate, and I took a couple pictures that I'll put here so you can see a better close-up of how they looked individually, the cute little things. Now, some of the ones that may look a little spotted are because of the seeds from the raspberries. And anyway, I think it's pretty cool because the way these turn out, especially when you process it in the blender and you get that foaminess to them, is that they end up actually two-sided. So you'll have, you know, so you can see kind of a lighter colored side and then a darker colored side. The darker colored side is the side that has the all the details on it as far as the gummies go. But anyway, it's pretty simple to press them out. The more detailed your little silicone holder is, the more you got to be careful. The flowers like this come out pretty simple, but the little ones like the rocking horses like this, they were a little harder to get out. A couple of them got tore in the process. So you want to make sure that as you're pressing it, don't just grab and pull unless it's loose. Press it really good so it's completely inside out. And that will come out. These ones are actually all pretty easy ones to press out. I should have saved some of the harder ones so I could show you those. But you just want to be careful when you go to grab it and pull it out. If it doesn't come out easy, then just continue to press from the opposite side until it just comes right out of there. It may help if you want to go ahead and also put a little coconut oil in these to make them come out easier. It's usually not as necessary, but I did go ahead in this pan that I'm going to store them in the fridge. I did put a little coconut on the bottom. Now it's probably not going to prevent them from sticking together, but they seem to be doing okay. But this foamy side will stick to your plate or your glass or whatever. So having a little layer of coconut oil is going to really help. Okay, there you have it. So I hope that you enjoyed this video and that now you'll be able to get busy making your own vitamin gummies for yourself and or for your family. Thanks for watching. Take care and God bless.